Value, space, and movement. Actually, this video will be the last part of the elements of visual art. So, value or tone, if you watch yung previous video natin about the color, is the value or tone is the relationship or the mixture of hues or color with neutral colors, creating value or tone. Okay, value and tone according sa color, pwede siyang maging shade or tint. Okay, value is the tonal relationship between the light and dark areas in a painting. Okay, so dito, generalize na natin, we don't look it in the perspective of color. Rather, is lightness siya and a darkness area pagdating sa painting. Value is an element that must be considered in relation to other elements such as line, color, texture, and shape. As value is also the darkness and softness of shading on a lead drawing. Okay? So, value is obviously, ito yung parang shadow or yung parang lalim or diin ng pagkakadrawing. Halimbawa dito, Morning Rush Hour by Marvin Franklin. So, obviously, ang value nito, makikita ang value nito agad doon sa deepness or nagbibigay ito ng illusion na although black and white lang ito, makikita nyo halimbawa yung lalaki dito sa pinakamalapit, okay, nasa right side natin is nakasandal siya sa parang sa seat division is dito yung agad nakikita yung value na ay mas madiin yung pagkaka-shade ng upuan na to kumpara sa damit niya. Obviously, iba ang pagkaka-shade sa kanyang ilong, creating the shadow na merong space dun sa ilong niya, okay, na merong distance, okay, na hindi lang siya 2D, rather meron siyang depth ang face niya. Okay, ang hat niya is nagbibigay din ng illusion na ay meron siyang shape or meron siyang texture. Okay? So, obviously, ang distance din, okay, nagiging possible din ang distance sa value because of the illusion or paggamit ng light and dark shade dun sa mga areas. So, obviously, dito sa drawing na to, okay, ballpen lang siya, obviously, ink drawing siya, with the use of value or tone or the relationship between the light and dark is nagkakaroon tayo ng illusion, ay, mas malapit ito dito, ay, mayroon siyang texture na ganito, mas madilim yung kulay nito despite na black and white ito. So another example of value is this painting. Obviously, it is the Christ, okay, by El Greco. Value is also the shadows and highlights that helps to create the illusion of roughness or smoothness. Ito din sinabi ko kanina, obviously, so kung titingnan nyo dito sa sa blanket or sa cloth na nasa left side ni Christ, left side niya, okay, is nakapatong sa kanyang left shoulder is obviously nakikita agad natin yung parang smoothness or silkiness ng kanyang damit or ng cloth na yon. Okay, ang what makes that possible, of course, is the value itself. Okay, of course, makikita nyo din another form of values, balikan natin, is yung nasa hand niya. Nakikita nyo yung roundness, okay, or yung 3D effect or spatial movement or value doon sa hand niya because of course the value itself. Okay, value may also result from blending of some elements. So obviously na yan, okay, binelend mo yung dark color red into the lighter color red and to this normal range of red, kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng illusion, may shadow. Okay? Or ito pala yung nakapalibot pala ang damit niya, meron pala siyang sleeve, okay, at nakabend pala yung mga sleeve, meron itong mga fold areas, okay, value po ang nagbibigay niyan. Function of values or tone. Value or tone may be used to create the illusion of form, to break up the picture surface into pattern of dark and light, to create the illusion of light space and movement, and to express emotion. Values is also used to express emotion. Example dito, yung use ng value or tone is, obviously dito is, nagbibigay ng illusion of space. Mas malapit yung mother at ng kanyang mga children, okay, kumpara doon sa mga rocks na nasa likod nila. Okay? Nakikita nyo din yung, actually, another use of tone is, nakikita nyo kung saan nanggagaling yung liwanag. Okay? So, obviously, ang light dito is either on the left side, left lower left side, kaya ang shadow madalas nila is nasa back nila or nasa right side. Okay? Value po ang nagbibigay niyan. Okay? So, value din ang nagbibigay ng illusion or ng shadow effect dun sa mga rocks, sa mga damit nila. Okay? Actually, ang value or tone din ang nagbibigay ng depiction or ng emphasis sa ating mga paintings or visual arts. Okay? At the same time, obviously, value or tone is also used to express emotions. So, example nito is yung mga nandito sa left side natin. Okay? Without reading the the text on the right side is obviously on the left side is meron agad siya nagbibigay ng feeling of loneliness or quiet. Okay, because of the tone, ang pagkakagamit ng tone, nakapalibot yung shadow dun sa paligid. So, so in relation with this left picture on the left side, upper left side is magandang pag-usapan din natin yung mga technique ng paggamit ng value pagdating sa ating visual art. Chiaroscuro is a value or it's a technique in value that refers to the technique which concentrates on the effects of blending light and shade on object to create an illusion of space and atmosphere. So, example nito, yung chiaroscuro is ito nasa left side. Philosopher's Meditation by Rembrandt, chiaroscuro yan, with the use of shadowing and light relation, diba? Onti lang yung light dyan, is galing sa bintana, is binibigyan ng illusion, ay, mas malayo ang light, pero mas maraming shadow. Na ang upper part of the stairs is, of course, is hidden on our plain sight at pataas ito because, of course, with the chiaroscuro. Okay? With the help din of chiaroscuro, nagkakaroon tayo ng illusion na ang lalaking nasa left natin ay mas malayo kumpara sa lalaking nasa far place na naglalagay ata ng fire. Lalaki ba yun or female? Okay? So, actually, chiaroscuro yan. Okay? Another use din of chiaroscuro is, of course, yung sinabi ko kanina sa inyo, is, di ba, space? Maganda example din dito is The Blue Boat by Winslow Homer. Okay? So, chiaroscuro din ito is, obviously, mas malapit ang perception natin sa boat kumpara doon sa background niya. Okay. Although sinabi ko beforehand na ang warm colors is nagbibigay sa atin ng illusion na mas malapit siya kumpara sa cool colors, pero with the help of value, okay, or the shadowing or the use of light and dark relationship with hues is nagkakaroon tayo ng illusion of space, or one technique nga doon is chiaroscuro. Tenebrism is another technique in value, okay? Tenebrism is the style of painting which exaggerates the effects of chiaroscuro. The painting makes use of larger amount of dark areas beside the smaller areas of emphasis, ay light of emphasis. So obviously dito meron chiaroscuro, so nagbibigay pa rin siya ng illusion of space, kung ano yung mas malapit, ano ang mas malayo, pero sa tenebrism is pinapakita niya ano dapat mong tingnan. Okay, halimbawa yung Caravaggio, okay, Caravaggio's conversions of St. Paul, tenebrism siya because obviously ang pinapakita dito is yung struggle, okay, between those subject na nasa painting na to. Okay, sa left ay nasa right, upper right natin. Okay? So makikita niyo agad dito is sa first impression dito is may struggle agad. Okay? Another example then is obviously the spolarium. Ang pinapakita dito is meron pa rin siyang illusion of space, pero at the same time, with the help of the shadow, nakikita agad natin yung emphasis niya. Diba? Ang emphasis dito is in the dragging of people, okay, across the floor is tenebrism yan. So, ginagamit nila ang shadow, naglalagay sila ng shadow, ginamit ni Juan Luna is gumamit siya ng shadow around sa paligid ng dalawa naghihila to create the illusion na ito dapat mong tingnan. Although, essential pa rin ang nasa likod, okay, pero alam natin ang titingnan natin. Parang spotlight siya. So, parang ganun yung ang epekto ng tenebrism. Space and movement. Obviously, when it comes to two-dimensional art, mahirap nating makita ang space and movement. Okay? So, space exists as an illusion in graphics arts, okay? But in sculpture and architecture, it is actually present. Okay, so actually may two types of space tayo pagdating sa painting. Okay, obviously, sa painting kasi or sa 2D art, ang space doon is illusion lang. Gawa-gawa lang siya by values. Okay? Ginagawa lang siya. So, actually, accordingly, meron doon tayong dalawang uri ng paggamit ng space sa painting. Una is decorative space. Pag sinabi natin decorative space, is ginagamit lang natin yung surface area na ating pinipintahan. Whether it's a canvas, paper, and so on. Decorative space ito. Sa decorative space, wala tayong makikitang depth. Rather, makikita lang natin yung flat surface na pinintahan. Example dito, Mother and Child by Hernando Ocampo and Leaves by Kelly. So obviously, sa dalawang painting ito is inoccupy niya ang buong space for painting pero hindi nagbibigay ng illusion of three-dimensionality. Ang tawag natin dito is decorative space. Plastic space naman, ito yung another use or another usage or types of space that we can see in painting na kung saan meron ng pinapakitang three-dimensionality sa 2D art or sa two-dimensional art. Example ito, Jedburgh Abbey from the River by Thomas Curtin. Obviously, meron tong decorative space. Di ba pag sinabi natin decorative space, ito yung pagpipinta natin sa isang flat surface area or sa canvas. So, obviously, binuo ni Thomas Curtin ang kanyang canvas by painting. Pero with the use of values or tones, is nagkakaroon siya ng illusion of three-dimensional effect. That is the plastic space. Okay, another example is Philosopher's Meditation by Rembrandt, Jedburgh Abbey from the River by Thomas Curtin, An Avenue at the Middle Harness by Hobbema. Okay, lahat yan ay plastic space. Two-dimensional art that has an illusion of three-dimensionality. So, another use of space ay ang tinatawag natin overlapping planes. Okay, it is a space and movement technique that gives the observer the impression that one object has a particular thickness or breadth and that it is in front of another. So, ang magandang technique lang dito sa overlapping planes is actually make the nearest object bigger, meanwhile the farthest object smaller. Okay? Although, yung ibang tao, kayang-kaya agad nilang kuhanin yun, pero yung iba, ina-emphasize pa ang ganun by the use of colors. Yun nga sinasabi ko kaninang technique na warm colors appears nearer and cool colors appear farther or use value or tones. Okay, gumamit ka ng mga shadings that gives the illusion na mas malayo ito at mas malapit ito. Example po ng overlapping planes is Still Life with Jug by Gregorio Morandi and Avenue at Middle Harmist by Hobbema. Variation of sizes is another technique in space and movement na kung saan is magpipaint ka ng bigger objects sa iyong painting, pero pinapakita mo din may maliliit din. Okay, so overlapping plane, obviously, literally na ginagawa mo, nagpipaint ka ng bigger jug, halimbawa, at isang smaller jug. Okay, pero hindi mo pinapakita dito na talagang mas malaki ang isa sa isa. Rather, you just want to give an illusion na, ay, mas malapit ito doon. Dito sa variation of size, gusto mo pakita na mas malaki talaga to ng dihamak. Okay, not necessarily mas malapit siya, but instead give us the impression, mas malaki pala ito kumpara dito. Okay, based on our experience, we interpret largeness of size as nearness and a diminishing size as an indication of distance. In art, size sometimes indicates power, strength, rather than distance from the viewer. Okay, variation of size, possible din yan by the use of overlapping planes, by the use of colors, and by the use of values. Okay, pero most of the time, some artists does not use overlapping planes, pero nagbibigay siya ng illusion of, laki. Okay? So, mga example po ng variation of size is Starry Night by Van Gogh. Okay? Dito naman is uh, another one is Whitfield with Crows by Vincent van Gogh. Pares na. Okay. Position on the picture plane. So, aside from sizes and overlapping planes, dito din pinapakita yung posisyon. Okay, actually halos parehas din ito dito um, sa sa variation of size, okay? So and actually technique lang talaga siya. In certain painting, the spatial representation is based upon the position of forms relative to the bottom of the frame. Okay? Those objects found at the bottom of the frame are closer to the observer, and the farther distances are indicated by the positions of the object higher in the picture plane. So, mas malapit daw para sa mga viewers ang mga object kapag nasa lower part of the picture siya, at habang mas malayo naman daw sa viewer ang mga object kapag nasa upper part daw siya ng picture. Colors also gives an illusion on the position of the picture plane. Warm colors gives the illusion under certain conditions that are closer to us than the cool colors. So obviously, another technique, okay, na ako tinaray ko to before pero ang hirap niya. Because one, I'm not really good at colors, pero you can practice this actually by mixing again the colors, the overlapping planes or the technique in space, and of course the value and tonality. You can actually use this. Obviously, the Bathurst by Cezanne is, despite na actually flat surface lang ang pinagdrawingan niya ng dalawang legs ng bather na to, with the use of value, color, okay, and the use of space gives us the illusion na ang left leg is nearer than the right leg. Peaceful Garden by Nancy Isabel is also another use of position na nagbibigay sa atin ng illusion na mas malayo ang is that sakura tree or a pink tree? I don't know what that kind of tree is. Okay, yung mga tree sa likod gives us the illusion na mas malayo sila kumpara dito sa mga orchids na nasa lower part of the picture. But the thing is, lahat yan is nasa two-dimensionality na gumagamit lang ng illusion to gives us three-dimensionality. Okay, some artists exploit such illusion that creates perspective. So marami tayong uri ng perspective. Okay, perceptual perspective. Okay, obviously ito yung kung saan nagpaint yung artist kung paano niya na-perceive yung object. Halimbawa, na-perceive mo ang cup in a nakapatong lang siya sa lamesa. Kung ganun mo siya na-perceive at ganun mo siya dinrawing or pinaint, tawag doon perceptual perspective. Aerial perspective naman, obviously, nasa ere. Okay, nasa ere ka at tinitingnan mo is nasa baba. Linear perspective naman, ito yung nagbibigay ka ng illusion na merong distance or merong straight line na nagbibigay ng distance sa iyong tinitingnan. Halimbawa dito, Avenue at Middle Harris by Hoberma, linear yan. Okay, because it gives the illusion of a line sa gitna at nagpapakita ng distance. Okay. Another one is the conceptual perspective. Ito naman is actually wala tong relation with the space, but rather when it comes to the representation. Conceptual perspective, ito kung halimbawa meron ka na perceive na object, halimbawa mug, sinilagyan mo halimbawa ng dragon sa loob ng mug, conceptual perspective yon. Hinahaluan mo na siya ng concept on how you interpret the mug is. Okay? Reverse perspective naman is ito, reverse siya ng linear. Ito, usapang space na to, is kung sa linear, pinapakita mo palayo, dito sa reverse, palapit. Magandang example dito is itong picture na nasa upper left. Although, pinaghalo siyang linear and reverse, pero yung nasa gitna, okay, yung building na parang medyo pa-triangle siya, is a reverse perspective. Okay, linear, obviously, yung dalawang nasa paligid ng triangle na to. Okay, actually mixture siya, reverse and linear perspective. Take note, ang linear palayo, ang reverse palapit. Okay, reverse perspective din is madalas makikita din natin ito dito sa still life with jugs. Okay, overlapping plane siya, and also at the same time, it use reverse perspective. Palapit kasi. Okay. So, tapos na tayo sa visual arts or two-dimensional art. Dito naman tayo sa space in three-dimensional art or sculpture. Okay? Sa space sa sculpture is, dalawa lang naman yan eh. Okay? It may be considered a single solid or an assemblage of solid that inhabit space. Maliit lang siya na nagtitake ng space. Or it may be seen as it enters into relation with the surrounding of space, extending to it, enveloping it, or relating across. So, ano ibig sabihin yan? Ang space sa sculpture is either one, single lang siya, okay, na pag nilagay mo siya dito, ito yung buong space niya. Okay, kaya actually very important yung location ng sculpture kung saan mo siya ilalagay eh. Halimbawa sa obelisk. Ang obelisk isa lang kasi ang nakikita natin doon is yung obelisk itself. So obviously, what makes obelisk is not just the sculpture itself but also the space surrounding it. Kasi kung natatabunan si obelisk, okay, so parang wala din si sculpture. Okay, very important 'yon. Okay? So, so kapag meron kang sculpture na nakita mong nakastand lang alone, na wala siyang kasama, obviously that is the first one. It may be considered as a single solid, okay, or assemblage of solids that inhabit a space. Pero kapag naman meron ka nakitang sculpture na part siya ng bigger sculpture, okay, or meron siyang katabi, okay, whether it's an architecture or is a sculpture is we have to consider this as well. Okay, kasi may mga sculpture na okay lang na may kahalo silang ibang sculpture, architecture, at nakikita pa rin natin ang relevance. May iba namang sculpture na kapag may hinaluan mo na siya ng another sculpture or architecture, natatabunan na ito. Okay, ano bang example nito? Ang UP Oblation. Okay, ang UP Oblation, maganda siyang stand-alone sculpture that has its own space. Pero simula na nilagyan ng malaking building sa likod, kung nakapunta na kayo sa UP, simula na nilagyan nito ng building sa likod, is natatabunan na ang UP Oblation. Okay? Nagkakaroon na ng saysay ang UP Oblation pag nilapitan mo. Pero kapag malayo, ayun kasi purpose ng sculpture, kahit malayo at makikita mo siya. Pag malayo, ang nakikita mo yung architecture. Di mo nakikita yung dapat UP Oblation. Di ba yung sign nila? Unlike sa PUP, although halos may kasunod na agad na building ang obelisk natin, pero may distance eh. Okay? So, kahit anong angulo natin sa makikita natin yung obelisk as a standalone. Unlike sa UP Oblation na natatabunan ng architecture. Okay? So, dapat natin yang i-consider when it comes to placing a sculpture in a certain place. Okay? Spaces are void that may exist in the material or of a piece of sculpture. Okay? So, aside from the area kung saan natin nilalagay ang sculpture, okay, ang spaces din or yung convex and concave, okay, or for short yung concave or mga gaps na nagawa natin sa isang sculpture also represents the spaces na ginamit natin. Holes and cavities, okay, interpenetrating voids ay part yan ng spaces in sculpture. But we have to take note, ang spaces sa sculpture is part of the intricate design. Okay, kung napanood niyo yung sa sculpture, concave and convex, okay, types of curves, okay, lahat yan is part of the sculpture itself. So obviously, kapag magka-carve ka ng mga gaps, holes, and cavities sa iyong sculpture, well-planned yan. Okay, kapag nagkamali ka kasi ng use of these spaces is either magiging deformed or you have to repeat your sculpture again. Space in architecture is obviously depende to sa surface area kung saan mo tinayo yung building. Okay? So, one is the square meters or the kilometers or the square kilometers na sinasakupan halimbawa ng bahay mo, ito yung space sa architecture. But also, the space in architecture can be manipulated. Paano natin mamanipulate? Ang isang bahay na may malawak na space area pero mababa ang bubong gives us the illusion na masikip kasi mababa ang bubong. Kumpara sa bahay na maliit lang square area pero mataas yung bubong at malaki ang bintana gives us the illusion na mas malaki ang space nito. Okay? So, space in architecture, dalawa yan. Ang lapad or yung floor area na kinukuhanan natin at ang taas ng ceiling at ang taas ay at ang lawak ng bintana. Okay, these are the space in architecture. Also, of course, meron kasi din tayo dalawang uri ng architecture, ang architecture na closed, so, and the architecture that is open.